The skies over Abia State were gray that morning, not with rain clouds, but with the weight of history. Nsulu village, nestled deep in the heart of the Igbo land, had a story buried in its red, dusty earth, one often forgotten but etched into the spirits of its people. It was a story of struggle, unity, and the enduring labor of those who fought to protect their heritage, culture, and identity. The year was 1956, a period when the embers of colonial rule were slowly dimming across Nigeria. Nsolu, though remote, was not immune to the changes sweeping through the land. It was a time when the colonial administrators sought to extract more from the people, more taxes, more labor, and more compliance. However, the people of Nsolu had always been known for their resilience and pride. For centuries, they had tilled the stubborn soil, harvested cassava, yam, and palm produce, and upheld traditions passed down from their forebears. To the villagers, their land was sacred, as were the struggles of their ancestors. In the heart of Nsolu was Akuaji, the great Irako tree under which elders held council meetings and warriors planned their strategies in times of war. This tree, with its roots as deep as the village's history, had stood witness to battles fought by their ancestors to defend their lands against slavers and invaders. Akuaji became the rallying point for what would be known as Ndi Nsulu's final stand. Obioma, a lanky young man with fire in his eyes, stood before the elders at Akuaji. His father had been taken in chains many years before for refusing to pay an unjust tax. Though Obioma had been a boy then, the memory of his father's defiance and sacrifice never left him. Now, with the colonial officers demanding new head taxes that would strip families of their meager earnings, Obioma knew it was time to act. "They are asking us to sell our sweat and blood." Obioma cried passionately, his voice echoing through the air like the sound of a distant Ikoro drum. The crowd murmured in agreement, and the women, their backs bent from years of carrying firewood and trading at the Ahia, nodded vigorously. "We cannot let the labor of our heroes past be in vain. My father, your fathers, they stood for this land and its people. Now it is our turn." Elder Nwosu, his white beard swaying like a flag of wisdom, stepped forward. "My children," he began, "Nsulu has never been afraid to fight. If we lose our freedom now, then all the struggles of our forefathers will be dust in the wind." Obioma speaks the truth. We must rise as one. The village buzzed with preparations. Men sharpened machetes and hoes, while women wove baskets to carry food for the coming days. Drums beat at night, a haunting rhythm that spread beyond Nsulu to neighboring villages. It was not just about taxes anymore. It was about pride, pride in their heritage, their Igbo identity, and their sacred connection to the land. The confrontation came at dawn. The colonial officers arrived with armed guards, expecting submission. Instead, they met the people of Nsulu, men, women, and even children, standing unarmed but resolute in the village square. Obioma, standing tall at the front, raised his hand to silence the murmuring crowd. "You may have your guns," he said boldly to the officers, "but we have the spirit of our ancestors. Our sweat waters this land. Our fathers' blood feeds its roots. This is Nsulu, and we will not bow." The guards hesitated, for there was something powerful in the unity of the villagers, a silent but unshakable resistance. It was said that at that moment, the wind stirred and Akuaji swayed, as though applauding the bravery of its people. The officers retreated, their threats empty in the face of such defiance. Nsulu had won, not with weapons but with unity, courage, and an unyielding respect for their past. Years later, as Nigeria gained independence, Nsulu's tale became part of the oral history passed from one generation to the next. The villagers continued to gather under Akuaji, recounting how their ancestors had refused to let the labor of their heroes past go unhonored. Children would sit wide-eyed, listening to how a simple village in Abia State had taught an empire the meaning of strength. Obioma lived to see the dawn of freedom. Whenever someone asked what gave him the courage to stand that day, he would smile, point to the red earth beneath his feet, and say, "Because I knew my father's spirit was watching." In Nsulu, the labor of their heroes past was more than a memory. It was the foundation of their pride and the spirit that carried them into the future.